Welcome back to the show, everyone. I am your host, Larry Lou, and this is Let Go of My Ego. Brought to you by T3 Transformation Through Truth, T3 Life Coaching. I welcome you all. So, I got a request for conversation about cheating. And what exactly is cheating? That's what the conversation was about, okay? So I guess it was something going around on Twitter, and a lot of people felt like flirting is cheating. Keeping secrets from your spouse is cheating. Deleting texts from the opposite sex was cheating. Holding hands could be considered cheating. So people were coming up with all of these behaviors. Sexing, is said to be cheating. So started talking about this with a friend of mine, because this friend is a she. She believes that for the most part that those behaviors do exemplify cheating. I said, okay. I don't necessarily agree. I'm gonna get that out the way right now. I don't necessarily agree. So we had a conversation. We were conversing, right? And I asked her, I said, so what is the logic behind you believing that these things are considered cheating? And she really couldn't give me an answer. It was more just how she feels. She couldn't give me an answer. So she just basically said, well, why do you feel the way that you feel? So I told her. So for me, when we talk about the word cheating, first of all, I feel like just because someone labels something as whatever doesn't necessarily mean that that is true. Number one, I'm not saying that it can't be true, but that don't necessarily mean that it is true. So that was the first thing that I told her. So then, we get to talking some more, and I elaborated, and I said, listen, for me, I believe that people are going to call whatever they feel they are uncomfortable with, they're going to call that cheating when it comes to the opposite sex. So she says, well, so you think it's okay to be vulnerable and maybe have an intimate conversation with the opposite sex? And I said, well, it just depends, number one, on a person's intent. That's what it really boils down to. And intent is something that we cannot see. So it's not so much what we do, it is the spirit in which we do it in. But again, intent can't be seen by the human eye. But I told her, I said, well, I just find it funny. So y'all know I've spoken about my brothers before. And I said, so if I go out with one of my brothers and I tell them something, I get vulnerable or intimate with them. Again, intimate doesn't mean sex. It doesn't have to be anything sexual. Me and my brother, we are not homosexuals. Okay. So if I'm intimate with him as far as being vulnerable with him, no one says anything. I tell them things that I might not tell my wife. I may open up a little bit more. No one says anything. But if I do the same thing with a female, it becomes a problem. And I just don't think that that's necessarily correct, as far as that means that if I do that, that is considered cheating. The other thing is, if you really think about it, cheating should only be defined by the people that are in the relationship. If there are two people in a relationship, man, woman, man, man, woman, woman, don't make a difference, young, old, the only opinion that matters are those two people, or are the two people who are in the relationship. For instance, swingers. This is what they do. They sleep around with other people. They have the permission from their spouses, and they sleep with other couples or other people, however, whatever they want to do. But they do this, and it is not considered cheating by those who are involved. They have an understanding. So the same goes for a couple. Again, whatever couple it is, if these two people sit down and say, well, listen, if you go out to dinner with someone and you don't tell me, that's cheating. If both of them agree, I have no problem with it. Not at all. Because it is between the two people who are in a relationship. It's none of my business. Long as they agree, no one else should say anything. It has nothing to do with anybody else. So ultimately, I feel like that's who makes the decision on the definition of cheating. Okay, but she asked me specifically, and I feel like the only thing that I consider cheating is if I have sexual intercourse with someone. That's cheating to me. That's the only way that I would be considered a cheater, an adulteress, since I'm married, whatever you want to call it. That's the only way. She understood it, but she wasn't, quite convinced. And that's okay. That's fine. I know people, they will go to this. Or I should, let me say this. She said, well, if your wife were to go out with a guy and you didn't know, would you consider? I cut her off. I said, no, that's not cheating to me. Did she have sex with him? If she didn't have sex with him, that's not cheating to me. To me. She goes out to eat with the guy, and they just had a conversation. Maybe they enjoy each other's company. I personally don't have a problem with it. She says, well, I guess you mean that's where I guess you're going to say, because you trust her, and that's where trust come in. And I said, exactly. Trust is not something that you have the evidence for. If you have the evidence for something, there is no reason to trust. If you have the evidence of something, if you know something about someone, if you know they're going to do this, if you know they're going to do that, you have no reason to trust. So absolutely, that's where trust comes in. So if she comes home and she says, I got a call, and somebody say, yeah, they yo, man, your wife was at dinner with this guy, whatever. Okay. Yeah, was you at dinner with a guy? Oh yeah, I was at dinner with Bobby, and we got a drink, or we talked, and this and that and the other. Oh, okay. Is anything going on? Well, no, we just friends, and this and that and the other. For me, I'm good. I'm not even gonna ask if there's anything going on. That was really for y'all. Because at the end of the day, what comes out of asking certain questions is people lie. So she could be lying, but the whole problem with me asking the question is that she could be telling the truth, but I'm probably going to think she might be lying anyway. That's the problem with asking certain questions anyway. It's kind of like a man asking a woman, and I can't stand this. Am I the best you ever had? Number one, it's ego. It's ego. Am I the best you ever had? Now, she might say no. Now you mad. Now you upset. Your ego is bruised. But let's just say she said, you know what, honey? You know what, sweetheart? You are the best I've ever had. Now there's going to be part of you, at least part of you, thinking that she lying to appease you. Why even ask the question? So that's what that is like to me. So then you got people who might say, well, you know, going out eating with the opposite sex and stopping over at their house without your significant other or wife or husband knowing that ain't right, and keeping secrets, you know, that's not right. And they say that just doesn't have a good look, and that what needs to be done, and this is a lot for the Bible thumpers, you know, to abstain from the very appearance of evil. That's what a lot of people use. It don't look right, so you just better play it safe and don't even go there. Don't even go over her house. Don't call her. Don't text her. Don't be seen alone with her. It just doesn't look good. But what I say to that is, and because there is a point to that, there's a point to that. But what I say to that is that there's something else in those scriptures that that people like to use. That says, woe unto them who call evil good and good evil. And in this world, before we even came in this world, it was already turned upside its head. It's already been turned upside its head. So the things that used to be good or that we can call good are called evil now. And the things that should be evil is just commonplace. I don't think I have to explain that to you all. You see it every day. Day in and day out. The things that are accepted today that was not accepted 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago are now commonplace. It's normal. You're uptight. You're rigid. You're old-fashioned. But regardless of what anyone may think, whether the world has been turned upside down or not, or whatever someone feels, what I know is if I go out to eat or go out and have a drink or go over a female friend's house, it's just a visit. That's all it is. It's not me trying to cover up something that isn't happening. So what's going on between me and my female friends is something innocent. No, regardless of what it may look like to others. And that's just being true. That's just being real. And that's just being genuine. So whatever someone else wants to turn it into, I have no control over that. This is what's going on today. So if you think you know what is good and what is evil, I tip my hat off to you. Because sometimes it gets a little confusing to me. So what I did is I asked her. I said, let me ask you this. If me and you were together and I came home and I said, hey, honey, I said, I need to talk to you about something. it's hard for me to say, but I need to be honest with you. Baby, I cheated on you. And I said, if I was to say that to you when we were together, and I said, be honest, what would be the first thing that came to your mind? She said that you slept with her, that you slept with somebody. I said, exactly. So then she said, well, why wouldn't you just say, if that's not the case, why wouldn't you just come home and say you went out to dinner or you had a drink with somebody or, you met somebody at the park or whatever? Why wouldn't you just say that? I said, well, what reason would I have to say that if that's supposed to be cheating? You would already know that. You would have asked me, well, why did you go to the bar with her? I said, so let your conscience be your guide. Let your conscience be your guide. Now, for the record, I don't think that those things are cheating, but I don't think that those things are necessarily right. I believe it can be disrespectful to a spouse, to a loved one, to your mate. It can be disrespectful. If I found out that my wife was spent the whole day with a guy, it's not gonna make me feel good. No, not at all. And I'm not saying that it would necessarily be right. It really depends on what was going on, what they were doing, what they were talking about, which is I would never know. But just the fact of knowing that, let's keep it 100, it wouldn't necessarily make me feel good. I would be in my feelings a little bit. My mind is going to get to wondering. So let's get that out the way. But is that cheating? So I told her, I said, see, what it looks like to me personally, it's not cheating, but it can be called a disloyal act if she's walking, holding hands with a guy. If she's, maybe hugged up, laid up, maybe she went to sleep, laid on his chest or something, or out to dinner and, they're messing with each other up under the table, playing footsies or something. You know what I mean? That is considered to me a disloyal act. But it's not cheating. If it's not sexual intercourse, I don't think that it is cheating. I don't feel you can put sexual intercourse in the same category or the same column as you put a guy watching porn. Because I actually know a woman who believes that if a man watches porn and he is married, that he is cheating. Add that to the list. For me, the problem comes in where anything anyone is uncomfortable with and thinks about and wants to label it as cheating, pretty soon we won't be able to do nothing. We won't be able to talk to anybody. We won't be able to speak to someone walking down the street of the opposite sex. Won't be able to hold the door open for someone of the opposite sex without being labeled a cheater. I'll never forget, I went to a concert, hadn't seen somebody I went to school with in over like 2 years. So I seen her and I'm, hey, and I hugged her, asked her how she was doing. My lady was right there. How you doing? It's good to see you, this and that. The rest of the concert, the whole rest of the night, she mad and pissed because she said, why you hug her? If I knew then what I know now, I would have asked her, why is she so threatened? Why aren't you dealing with why are you dealing with the problem externally when the problem is internal? What you threatened by? But the point is, everything will be considered wrong. That's my problem with that. Just because we put a label on it does not necessarily mean that it is right. or that is what it really is. And she says, so what if you go out with a woman and you are attracted to her? I said, well, I'm attracted to a lot of women. Oh yeah, I'm attracted to a lot of women. Some women that I have friends I think are very nice looking, but that don't mean I'm across the line. I see women I'm attracted to all the time. And for my relationship, my wife see men that she's attracted to all the time. She say she got 11 husbands. She say I'm number one, but she got a plethora of husbands. Jimmy Fallon and Ice Cube and LL but yeah, she got, guys that she think is very attractive, and it doesn't bother me. And as far as I know, it doesn't bother her. We are secure in our marriage. We trust each other. So it just doesn't bother us. I'm pretty sure it may bother some other people, but it doesn't bother us. But I said, yeah, so I'm attracted to other women. Just because I'm married doesn't mean that I'm dead. And it also means that I do not have to act upon my impulses. That's called maturity. It's called life experience too, but it's also called maturity. So my question back to her though was, if I go out with a woman, have a drink with her, even let's go to the extreme. Let's say I went out of town, but never touched her, never kissed her, never rubbed her leg, never tried to get on. She never tried to get on me. We just had a good time. And I know some of y'all, well, you can do that with your wife. I'll say that for another day. But let's just say, that happened. I come home, hey, baby, this and that, had a good time. And, I said, so if I do that, not saying that it's right, I will say it is a disloyal act, but I don't think it's cheating. Is me going out to eat, having a drink with a woman mean I'm sleeping with her? Or does that mean that you just threatened by her? Could it possibly be that? Because that's ego. The ego will find anything it can that it feels poses a threat to it and deems it bad or evil. That's what the ego do. Anything that makes the ego feel threatened, it will put a label on it. Oh, that's wrong. Or we need to stay away from that. That's not right. Anything that the ego feels threatened by, it's going to make it seem as if it is evil. And it is something that we should not do. Now, I know everyone is not going to agree with this, but like I told her, we can agree to disagree. It's fine. We're just conversing. We're talking. We're getting knowledge one from another, which is what it's all about for me. I can't speak for everybody, but that's what it's all about for me. And just because two people disagree don't necessarily mean that both people are wrong or both people are, or one is right and one is wrong, or both are right. The truth be told, we all just trying to figure this thing out. Truth be told. But this thing about cheating, for me, if I hug another woman, I just believe that when you say and have a list of all these things that are cheating and that are wrong, I really feel that it's just a immaturity there. There's an immaturity when everything that I do that you don't like with someone of the opposite sex is wrong. I don't think that is fair, and I don't think it's a sign of maturity. And if I'm being completely honest, I think it shows a lack of self-worth. Why are you projecting on me what you should be contemplating about yourself? And so I go back to the whole intent. It comes down to intent, which no one knows of another man's heart, what's in his heart, what his real intent is. But I will say this. I understand why a lot of women, feel that way. Men feel that way too. But it's more so because of our ego. We just don't want nobody touching our women. We're territorial. We're possessive. We're jealous. And we think we can go out and do whatever we want to do. And the women, they just got to sit at home fiddling their thumbs, cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids, and just waiting till I get home. That's what us men think. And we are, just to be honest, we have created this problem because we're not truthful. We're always trying to take advantage of a situation. And so it has left our women scarred and very sensitive when it comes to these matters. Because I really believe that if men were more truthful, mature, honest with what it is that they do, with what they believe, just upfront about who they really were, I don't even think this would be an issue. I believe a man could go out with a woman, call her a friend, and a lot of, his woman would be okay. But when we told these women that this is our friend and come to find out she got our baby, that's a problem. And that's not on them. That's on us. Let me say this. We've lost their trust and we have not been able to regain it because we may do it once and then a wife come to a hotel room door. Get out of here. Get your stuff right now. Cheating again with a woman, sometimes with the same woman. So there is no trust. And so I get it. So for them, their egos is just trying to watch out for them. Their experiences have told them that we can't be believed. We can't be trusted. So every little thing that resembles misbehavior is labeled as cheating. And that's the real problem, unfortunately. That's the real problem. And I'm gonna leave you all with this. People talk about omitting the truth and that's lying and all that kind of stuff. That might be another podcast. But this is the thing. Truth is not synonymous with honesty. I cannot tell you the truth about something and still be honest. Let me repeat that. I cannot tell you the truth about something and still be honest. I can walk down the beach holding a woman's hand. And I know for some guys and some women, that's worse than having sex. I know. But we go with this example. It's an extreme example. Good one. Okay, I can walk down the beach holding her hand, just talking, and never have had sex with her, never plan on having sex with her, and for the foreseeable future, never will have sex with her. And I don't tell you. I haven't lied. For number one, you haven't asked me. You haven't asked me, so I haven't lied to you. You haven't asked me a question, and I gave you a deceitful answer. But there's a question of honesty, or if it's a question about honesty, honesty is about virtue. And virtue for me, if we're talking about just the cheating part, is I haven't slept. I haven't crossed that line. I might have committed a disloyal act, sure. But I haven't crossed the line of the virtue of being faithful to my mate. I haven't had sex with the opposite sex. So in that regard, I was honest. Honesty is about, one of the definitions of honesty or being honest is virtue. I kept my virtue. I kept my promise. I kept my vow. So being truthful is not synonymous with being honest. Remember that. This is Larry Lou. Elevation is in order. Peace.